so origin story मुझे थोड़ी सी बताएं, right? So your friend came in, he said, listen, let's try this out. आप लोग उसके ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं. And for a lot of people, when they're thinking startups today, अब वो startup space भी ना थोड़ी सी ग्लैमराइज होना शुरू हो गई है. एंड व्हाट आई मीन बाय दैट इज़ कि, और मैं इसको आई एम नॉट डिसिंग ऑन दैट एट ऑल. आई थिंक इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू ग्लैमराइज थिंग्स बिकॉज वो फिर एक स्नोबॉल इफेक्ट लेकर आती हैं. बट वी हैव द शार्क टैंक हैपनिंग एंड वी हैव द सॉर्ट ऑफ द NICs एंड ऑल ऑफ दिस एंड दैट. एंड जो इवन स्टार्टअप वाले लोग भी हैं, वो जब इसके बारे में बात करते हैं ना, तो वो वो टैम्स एंड दिस एंड दैट एंड वो कीवर्ड्स फेंकते हैं, और वो सारा तो लगता है कि यार ये पता नहीं कोई इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर आया है और वो आगे ना एक बड़े प्लान के साथ आके एक बड़ी चीज़ बना रहा है, और वो फिर वैल्यूएशन एंड फंड रेजिंग. इट सीम्स वेरी इंटिमिडेटिंग, राइट? विच इज़ वाई आई फील लाइक origin stories are very powerful, because there might be a lot of people who may have passion for things, but they would never get into it because they'd be like, यार ये तो मैं नहीं कर सकता, right? ये तो कोई बहुत ही कोई दुनिया हमें शेक करनी पड़ेगी before we can. And you guys were fresh out of college. You did not have like, ये नहीं था ना, नॉर्मली एक्सपेक्ट ये किया जाएगा कि यार जो ऑलरेडी इंडस्ट्री में ARY वाले आते हैं, टिकटिंग बिजनेस शुरू करते हैं, मेक सेंस. बट एक बंच ऑफ यूनिवर्सिटी ग्रेजुएट्स सेइंग कि लिसन, लेट्स क्रिएट एन टिकटिंग प्लेटफॉर्म एट अ टाइम जब पेमेंट्स डिजिटाइज नहीं हुई प्रॉपरली, जब ऑनलाइन बाइंग, येस इट वॉज ग्रोइंग क्वाइट अ लॉट, बट देयर वाज स्टिल अ ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट. It's complicated and it sounds like a wicked problem. What happened in the first couple of years from the time that the idea sort of was, or the seed for the idea was planted, till the time that you guys were actually month on month doing business?
So three of us joined forces. We were all pretty aligned on the concept of what we wanted to do. We did some market research, saw that ticketing platforms were already around. They had been around for a while, in fact. I think the other ticketing platforms, BookMe and all, have been around for probably 7 years or so before we launched.
Yeah.
So
2012-13 में ये वो Plan 9 में incubate हो रहे थे.
yeah, so the technology itself wasn't necessarily what was missing. What we wanted to solve was discovery, right? So everyone around us was like, dude, there's nothing to do here, It's like khana and that's about it. And to a certain extent, people still say that, So we wanted to solve for that. We were like, look, there's a lot happening. We started researching events, researching what all there is to do. And we saw that there's so much to do. People just don't know about it. So let's solve for that. So we just launched a blog while we were thinking about the ticketing platform and how to do it. We had zero tech experience. Okay, the three of us. We still don't have a CTO. Okay. So, it was tough in that sense, but we did the blog. We kind of did pretty well with that, at least with our follower growth and engagements and so forth. And we used that as a way to build our relationships within the industry, right? So when you have an event that's happening and this event is not getting any recognition at that point in time, because the ticketing platforms that were actually even ticketing events were the one-off large events that were happening, and they were also not really getting much online sale. 99.9% was probably still offline, right? So we were now giving recognition to all events organizers, especially the smaller ones, the more niche ones. And so rather than going after the larger events, we decided to do the complete opposite and go for the masses. Okay, so we knew that there's something for everyone, and that needs to be highlighted. When you do that, when you write this really nice article about, let's say, your event, and we send it to you and we say, look, we've written this, we would love for you to share it, they will. They're going to put it out there. There's no reason why they wouldn't. And so that automatically brought you the traction. And so we kind of growth hacked our way forward. We still do, right? We don't have any internal marketing spend till today. And so that really, really worked for us. So by the time we launched our ticketing platform, we already had the relationships and the connections in the industry. But our technology was terrible. It was by far the worst platform I've ever used in my entire life. Okay? We were doing ticketing and I could not see the orders that were being placed. Okay? It was useless. So luckily we had no volume. at that time. And when COVID hit, that was a blessing in disguise. We cried about it for a bit, that this is the end of everything. We had stupidly blown our entire family and friends round that we had raised from my mum and a friend of mine to just get started, build the platform and whatnot. And, we had 150,000 rupees in the bank. We had probably 100,000, less than 100,000 rupees in all-time sales and 3,000 rupees of revenue at the time of COVID. Shut down the office, let go of whatever employees we did have. Obviously, we're not paying ourselves. And entertainment's the first thing to go and the last thing to come back. So it was a very, very difficult period. But at the same time, like I said, it was a blessing in disguise. It's the best thing that ever happened to us because it allowed us to take market share from our competition. It allowed us to build out our feature set. We had the last year, even if it wasn't in ticketing, but with exposure in the industry to understand what the market and the mentality was actually like and how to localize our product to actually be a winning product. So once things reopened, we knew we were going straight to the top. But it wasn't without having to pivot during COVID as well.
What was that pivot?
So a couple of things. One, we realized that everyone was screwed. It wasn't just us. Every industry.
Right.
And so everyone was going online, whether it was, personal trainers or whether it was makeup artists or whatever it was. Everyone was now going online and trying to sell themselves online, and this digitization was happening naturally because there was no other way. And these people needed a way to sell themselves. So what we started doing was we started listing them and their online courses as events on our platform. We essentially gave them the marketing that we were giving events. We gave them a place to register for their events or workshops or wherever it was, because they didn't want to give their bank accounts openly online on their Instagrams or whatever, transfer us the money and, So we were able to do that. And we actually had our best months to date. Well, now obviously we've done better. But at that time, during COVID. And so that actually sustained us. But it also wasn't enough. And so what we also needed to do is, so for example, one of us got a part-time job somewhere else at the same time, because you still have to sustain yourself. And the other two of us, we focused on, well, all three of us are partners in our other businesses as well, but our focus was more on this, which was the marketing agency. So what we did is we launched a marketing agency by the name of Source Digital, because we had a lot of incoming clients, essentially people just coming to us and saying, we'd love for you to help us with our marketing. So we took those people on for marketing, all sorts, basic social media stuff, maybe even web development stuff. And rather than having a full team in-house, because we couldn't afford that, I think even in that marketing agency, the max capital we ever put was 1 million rupees. Okay. And we made it work from there. So the way we did it was, we would get a client, we would find someone to outsource it to, right? And we would pay them per project, and then we would keep a cut on it. And so we were able to have that revenue come in and slowly build until we had a full team in-house, and we were able to sustain TicketWala. But what that also allowed us to do was to be able to provide additional services for our event clients in TicketWala. So for example, performance marketing. We were running ads for people, and so this allowed us to run ads for our event clients. And that has been such a key to our success, because we don't have any internal marketing spend. Our event organizers transfer us their ad budgets, and we run their ads for them through our Facebook or Meta or whatever, right? And so what that means is we get to collect that data. They themselves are as well, but they are also getting much, much better conversions over time. So we've done close to 4,000 events. Maybe we've run ads for 2,500, 3,000 of those. And so when you've done that, you've populated that Facebook pixel so much that our conversions are just going to be way better than what they would themselves get. So it's a win-win-win situation, essentially.
आप देख रहे थे TBT clips from the podcast made for the smartest Pakistanis, the Thought Behind Things podcast. इस तरह के मजीद clips देखने के लिए चैनल को सब्सक्राइब जरूर कर लीजिएगा, and I will see you in the next video.